Yes,
Get
if you
everybody
would.
back up to speed.
Yeah.
And can take over. Okay. The process for a school construction grant is first the Board of Ed has to pass a set of outline details about what the project is going to be, and that's called the education specifications. That was done in June. The next three steps of the process are what are in front of you right now, which is the three motions to establish a building committee, authorize the preparation of the outline specifications, and authorizing the superintendent of school to file a grant application. Based on the time of year it is right now, we actually have until June 30th to file that grant application if these motions succeed this evening. The process then moves into the financing and funding section, which will be where the town decisions need to come into play if they're going to fund it through a direct appropriation or go through a referendum process or any other methodology they choose for developing a funding package. Certainly, these actions that, if they pass tonight without the funding ultimately getting in place sometime down the road, will not result in anything. You know, there's no obligation for the town council or the board to act in the future. At some point, we would just withdraw the request for the commitment if the project would never succeed. So that kind of brings us to the table right now for what the three motions are that are in front of you right now. So anybody have any follow-up questions on process, procedure, or even the scope of what Anna Reynolds' project is considered to be?
Councilor Del Bruno.
I don't have any questions necessarily, but, and I said this last week, I still have concerns about putting a building committee together, not knowing kind of where we are with state funding coming down the road. There's so many questions right now with not just education funding, but our municipal funding in general. And we already have a large project that we're trying to move forward. As was mentioned earlier in public participation, the Town Hall Renovation Committee has been trying to move the project forward, hoping that that comes forward soon so that we can consider that as well. So I'm a bit concerned about putting together another building committee when we already have moving forward the Town Hall Renovation. We have, and I know it wasn't a referendum project, but we have the STEM academies, the John Wallace Middle School reconfiguration, the library has a committee going. So it seems like we have an awful lot on our plate right now in terms of projects and funding. So I'm just wondering if now is the right time to move this forward, or if it would make sense to hold off at least for a few months to see what happens with the state and what's coming down the road to us.
If I can speak to that, there are a couple things, you're right, in play. If you've heard the CJEF announcement from the judge went way beyond what we had expected he would declare. We knew that it was unconstitutional. It's been 3 times it's been voted since the 60s. However, he went a little further in saying that the state has been very generous in their funding of school construction projects. So it is likely, we don't know when, but it is likely over the next few years that all that funding will dry up. Anna Reynolds, we believe, based on square footage, will be about a $14 million project, which we would get somewhere between 50-58% back. My concern is that I don't know that number is solid, and so what I was hoping to do would be to get an architect in there to take a look and see, is $14 million a real number, or is it going to be $27 million, or is it going to be $6 million? It's the topography over there is a little awkward, if you will. It's not like John Patterson where it's a flat ground. And so I wanted to bring you a real number. And we can't really do that until we have a building committee set up. So even if the project didn't get done, I wanted to make sure that we had some very accurate number so that you knew what you were dealing with. Because the building is beyond our ability to repair it. It needs a full renovation. It's too far gone. It was built in 1954. It's not that we didn't maintain it, but it's just well beyond our ability to through our maintenance budget, to take care of it. So it needs a full renovation. So then, if it were to be more than $14 million and the money did dry up, you'd be looking at a very large project. And we have really kept it on the back burner for this specific reason, because we knew we didn't want to get it involved with the town hall. We wanted to, let all that settle first before. So that's why we've kept it off. But it's getting to the point now where I can't see investing any resources or money into the building. I think it would be a waste.
Councilor Klatt.
How many years has Anna Reynolds been on the list to be renovated?
10 years?
10 years. And so I guess if I was a parent of a student in Anna Reynolds, listening to a dialogue that says, I don't think I'm ready to go ahead and form a building committee, when the library has evolved into the town hall project and wasn't hanging around for 10 years, I'd be pretty upset if I had children at Anna Reynolds and knew for 10 years we've been putting off doing something at that school. Personally, I don't think we can afford not to move forward, in my opinion.
Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, the United States Department of Education will be making an announcement. Anna Reynolds will be getting a lot of press very shortly, a lot of tours, a lot of people visiting, and unfortunately...
Because of the blue ribbon?
I can't say that for sure. I don't know anything about that. But tomorrow at 1 o'clock, the Secretary of Education will be making an announcement of about 4 schools in Connecticut. So Anna Reynolds, I believe, will be getting visited. Unfortunately, I wish it could have been one of our nicer buildings, but it is what it is.
Well, I don't think it's the issue of not doing it. I think it's just a matter of, if I'm misinterpreting you, please correct me,
Right.
of taking just a wait and see for a little bit to see how town hall funding is going to shake out, how state funding is going to shake out.
And remember, the council is under no obligation whatsoever to fund it. So,
Don't forget, too, it had been on the CIP for 2020, 2021, thereabouts, and now it's been bumped up. Councilor Klatt?
That's been pushed off
Yeah.
for a period of 10 years. It's not that it's been on for 2021. That's where it's ended up because it kept getting pushed off.
I see.
it was supposed to be, I think, either 12-13 or 13-14, I think, or something. That was when it was supposed to be done.
Councilor Anast,
If we put the building committee together,
could you?
I'm sorry, if we talk about putting the building committee together and talk about passing the resolution to do at least the schematic drawings, do you have to apply for the grant now, or can that resolution be tabled further down the road?
We have until the 30th of June to apply for the grant, so we wouldn't need to. But we need to have these 3 motions in place before we can be authorized to do anything.
Okay.
Anything.
If, say this goes forward and you apply for the grant and the grant gets approved, so is there a timeline to do the project after that point, or?
We wouldn't even need to apply for the grant, or we could withdraw it. So, we could probably hold off. We would hold off on the application, but,
Let me jump in on
yeah.
that. The way the process works is that the June 30th cutoff date is established, so the State Department of Ed can aggregate all of the construction requests from all the communities in the state and build a presentation for the General Assembly in December. So if the grant application does not go in June 30th, you automatically can't go till the next year.
So you're talking about December of 2017?
Right, so if we process the grant application, or if the motion passed tonight and we process the application, the earliest we would be up for consideration at the General Assembly for funding on their match would be the spring session of 2018, where ultimately those funds would be authorized May or June of 2018. If the grant application does not go in for this June 30th, then you're automatically 1 year later, at that point. So it's really just a matter of designing the type of calendar the community wants to manage to for this process. If the intent is to put a referendum question out as part of the general election 13 months from now, that would fit with the calendar for ultimate approval for the project up at the General Assembly. If the community chooses not to do it at that time and make it at a later date or off election, still having the application in for consideration still needs to happen for June 30th, even if the referendum day is one day later. So it's really nothing more than managing your calendar at this point. You can walk away from anything at any time.
Exactly. So if we decide we want to put this project, do it, we know what it's going to cost us, but yet, based upon the town hall coming through, if we wanted to push off the actual construction of it, that can be pushed off. We're not,
Right.
It's not a solid that it has to be done spring of 18 or
Right.
or fall of,
They typically like things to start within 2 to 3 years.
of the grant being approved.
Right.
Any money back until after it's done.
No, I know, I know. We have to come up with it and then get reimbursed.
Councilor Mankey.
I agree, it's probably just a matter of managing calendar, but I think it's also a matter of managing the town's priorities. And while this may have been on the radar for the last 10 years, I think that the town hall's been on the radar for at least that long and longer. And
The library hasn't.
again, I wasn't on the council when we put the library building committee together, so were I sitting on the council at that point, I would have held them off also. I think the most important and pressing matter for this town is the town hall. And I wouldn't want to get two referendums out at the same time or close to the same time. I think that's confuse the public and it would probably not do well for the town.
Councilor Ernest.
That's why I had asked the question. We don't have to put this out to referendum till 19, right? I mean, we don't have to put the referendum out to apply for the grant and for the grant to go before the General Assembly. We don't have to have a referendum prior to that. Thank you. That's what I thought.
It just won't be acted on by the General Assembly.
Right.
At that point.
So we are, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring you a real number so you know what you're dealing with.
Right, and I understand that.
Councilor Boudreiko.
I'm just wondering, do we have to pass all three resolutions? I mean, I really feel comfortable with, I appreciate the fact that we'd like to get harder figures on what it would cost. And could we pass the resolutions like 1 and 2 and then hold off on 3, just so that you can come back to us with a better figure? I mean, that has to be done anyways, and then we could, in December, January, February, once you have a cost figure for us, we could pass the third piece of this?
Has to be in by June.
The answer is yes to that. However, without all three being passed, you don't have a grant application that the state would consider. So,
Well, correct, but
Right.
in order to get the solid figure that Dr. Collins would, like us to
Right.
have before we to consider moving forward, we need to pass like resolution 1 or 2. We need to get the building committee in place, but we don't have to pass resolution number 3 tonight or whenever.
right, you wouldn't have to do any of those. But again, everything will
Well, eventually.
cornerstone around whatever major funding package is there. These are more, I don't want to say protocol, but this gets you your percentage lock-in, if it's 56 or 58% grant. That's there. If there's concern that a year or 2 years from now, there will be diminished support of construction activities, you get a locked-in 55 or 58% grant, have some benefits.
Right, but at that point, we would, if you give us what the cost figure is at that point, based on the building committee, we'd feel more confident going forward, or at least I would.
So that's fine.
Councilor Ernest.
So, I mean, I concur with Councilor Boudreiko. I would like to move forward with 1 and 2, and then, once we have the hard numbers, as long as the grant application is filed by June 30th, so we could bring up the resolution authorizing you to file the application in March or April,
Right.
correct? And that would still give you adequate time, if need be, to file it by June 30th.
Councilor Marachini.
My palms are sweating over here, but it's a rock and a hard place, I got to say, because I'm quite honestly, I'm afraid to talk about another large project right now. So, and I get where you guys are coming, not against the project at all. I hope you would realize that, but I just feel that we need to have the town hall community center town hall project in a spot where we know where it's going to be and almost hopefully referendumed and passed before we move on to something else.
It was in support, Lou and I were both on the committee 7 years ago,
Yeah,
Town Hall
so-
Renovation Committee 7 years ago, and we haven't brought this forward for those reasons. So we've, at some point,
Yeah, I know. I know.
We
It's
have
taking,
to,
it's,
and, you
it's
know.
taking longer
Yeah.
than it should, for sure.
Counselor Del Buono?
I don't want to beat that dead horse. I've already said kind of what my concerns are, but I want to make it clear I'm not against this project. And in kind of processing this, since we've gotten our agenda and had time to look at the materials and from our last discussion 2 weeks ago, thinking about whether or not there's supposed to be a vote tonight. And, because I don't want to move it forward now, doesn't mean I want to vote no, because I don't want a perception to be out there that, we don't want this committee to move forward or that we don't want the project. That's not my intention, which is why I was thinking perhaps to just table the item so that it's not a no vote. There's not we don't have to say we don't want this project moving forward, because bringing back a motion that hasn't passed is much more difficult than bringing back an item that's been tabled. So I guess, my thinking was that we consider tabling the item until we have a better idea. It sounds like the Town Hall Renovation Committee is really starting to move forward. We should have a better grasp on what their plan is within the next few months of not just what their plan is, but what the funding, if they are going to be able to stick with what we had sent them for a figure, which I know they are trying to do, but we all know that sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. So really having a better idea of where we are fiscally and seeing what happens as time goes on with the state funding and what that's looking like for us. I'm just wondering if it's more feasible for us to just table this for now for a few months until we have some more information.
Counselor Klatt?
Well, I agree with Counselor Anist and Counselor Pedreco that there's no reason why you couldn't pass the first two sections of this and not take action on the third section and have them come back. I think that's a good idea. Furthermore, I don't think anyone sitting around this table should compare a town hall building project to a school or any other kind of project. And I want to tell you that the town hall project was talked about that I can remember, Carol probably can remember, back in, I think it was 2009, that Councilor Bowen ran for mayor, that there was discussion about the town hall. So the town hall has been talked about and discussed since 2009, and we still haven't got our act together on that. And there is no way that you can compare a school project or any other kind of project to the town hall project. So,
I'm not trying to compare it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I
Correct.
don't want to discuss another $20 million project within the next 3-4 months.
and
It's not comparing them. They're
And-
two different projects.
And
The
I don't
school
know
and the
why
town
we
hall.
wouldn't do that. Why would we not move forward with something that's been kicking around for 10 years?
Quite honestly, my feeling is if we start bringing up the other major projects that are going to be in a line, it may sink the one that we're doing now.
I don't think it will sink it at all.
That's your
Because,
opinion.
as Counselor Annis has pointed out, you don't even have to bring it to referendum. You can have all your ducks in a row and get everything in order, and you can take the project that you want to take, which obviously is going to be the town hall project and the library that's jumped on, to the voters, and then wait and take the school project, which will be probably in order before we even, get to our the first referendum. There's no reason to say, do not move forward with doing a project that has been kicking around for 10 years. There's no reason not to do it, not to form a building committee, not to get your ducks in a row. There's no reason when you have students in that school and the school needs to be renovated. Quite frankly, your child went there. You know the condition of it.
And obviously, I'm willing to wait a few months, so.
we didn't want to upset the apple cart here, and we certainly know the priorities, and we've really tried to keep it on the back burner. Ours is really one of, as Luke said, calendar, it's really more of a timing thing with us. We just need to make sure that, because there's a lot of work that goes into all of
A
that.
lot of work.
Right. And so it is a timing thing, and as the CJEF ruling came down, it just want to make you aware that there could be an issue with the
Councilor
funding.
Menke asked.
I certainly don't want to put students at risk, but I also think we don't want to put our employees here who work in this building at risk. I think it's important that this town hall
Nobody's at risk.
be done. I'm concerned, though, that if we send it out if we send 2 referendums out in a short period of time, let me finish. Or even if we send 1 referendum out and let everybody know that there's one coming down the road, we'll end up, as Councilor Marquini said, we'll end up sinking both of them. And I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned that if we do send out for a building committee and get a price now, the price in 2019 will have to go out back out again because the price will have changed. There'll be a number of years that have gone between there, and we'll end up just doing this whole thing over again. So I guess I'm in favor of tabling it.
Councilor Sarah.
Just one question. If we file for the grant, if we go forward, we get the prices and everything, we file for the grant. The referendum is not until after the grant's approved? Is that when we would be putting it out?
No, the
Referendum?
passing referendum or direct appropriation is a requirement to get the grant.
To get the grant, okay.
Right. Okay. Now, in the dialogue that was here with potentially passing the 2 motions instead of the third is fine. Part of our marching orders that would occur afterwards is if the building committee gets established, the authorization for the plans and the outline plans and specs are done. That really brings the point of trying to develop that cost package. So it would be a matter of the council providing that seed money to the building committee to go out and acquire the architectural services to be able to do that work. So I just don't want it to be a misunderstanding of where this leads us. Certainly nothing can go anywhere without the third motion, but if there is genuine interest and intent to try to get to the first step of this project, by passing these 2 motions, that would really be what we would be looking to do next.
Councilor Anast.
Are we in any jeopardy, I shouldn't say jeopardy, but with the ADA? Because I noticed that you need to full handicap accessibility. Is that going to come back and bite us if we don't move forward?
If we don't do anything, well, and if we get inspected, yes, the building would never in a million years be even close to passing. If we don't get inspected, like we were at the high school was 2005, 2006, whatever it was. We're just finishing that up. We escaped the Weathersfield cost, if you will, because we've maintained that building well. Unfortunately, Anna Reynolds was not, and because of, like I said, of the topography. And here again, when the land was bought, they could have put the school anywhere. Why they chose that, I can't tell you. That's what they did. And as the additions were put on, it became worse and worse and worse. And so we have a stairwell that has a pitch on it that I don't know how I walked around the building for 2 hours trying to figure out how, and I'm not an architect, so we need the services of one to figure this out, to see what the best course of action would be and how you would go about making it handicap accessible.
Somebody. Oh, Councilor Nagel.
I agree with Councilor Menke that we should table it. I am in favor of the renovation of the school too. I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression from me, and I'm sure anyone here and everyone here agrees to that. But we as a council are here thinking of the positive ways of the public accepting any referendum that comes before them, let alone many, and of finances and of monies that, if indeed a grant comes from the state to pay for a lot of this, that we have to fund the money up front. And so adding that, I become leery of the whole fact of moving without having more of a definite idea as to what the cost is, and maybe well, definitely a more concrete idea as to where at least the town hall building is, renovation committee is going, and they are moving to another step, I believe, at the next meeting, let alone the library, which has yet to receive their feasibility study. So I have my qualms not because of the building and the need for the building to be renovated and to made school code compliance, but of the financial gains and how to pay what, where, when, and making certain that indeed if referendums come down the pike, whether they're all at once or one after the other, that the public understands that they are all important and that they see them in a positive light, where mistakenly, simply because of the finances or their view of there never being free money, that one and or the other or whatever may not pass. So that's where my concern comes.
We certainly understand that if it is our obligation to bring to the council when we see a building renovation that is in need. And as I shared with you, we've put it off for a good 7 years at least, bringing this to you. So we got to, there's never a right time, and we certainly understand, but as I said, it is our obligation to let you know that you do have a school building in town that is in desperate need of renovation.
And I do understand that. I really do.
Councilor W.
I guess I'm looking around the table and I'm kind of doing some math in my head, and what I don't want to happen is a vote to go in the no column on this. I honestly don't. I just don't want that to happen. That's going to put us in a very different spot moving forward. So I would. And there's a couple of ways we can talk about consensus. We can talk about tabling. We can talk about what we need to do. But I think that at this point we talk about tabling for a matter of months until we know better what people have asked for in terms of more information. I know it's not a unanimous feeling around the table, but as I'm doing the math, I just don't want this to go down in a no.
Well, I'd like to call the question and take it to a vote.
What question are you calling?
Read the resolution.
The resolutions, keeping in mind that if these do not pass and we decide to act on them on the future date, we go through all sorts of parliamentary hurdles.
And what are those hurdles, if you don't mind me asking?
It has to be brought up by the individuals who, I'm not sure if it's the prevailing or the losing side, one or the other.
Yeah.
Well, this vote is going to have a prevailing and a losing side.
Prevailing party. The prevailing party.
Councilor Anist?
I just feel that I think we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the residents just to see what this is going to cost us. How can we make any decisions at all if this is going to go referendum, when it's going to go referendum, what the timing is, if we have no idea what the cost of this project? I don't think it would hurt us at all to move forward, forming the building committee and move forward to coming up with some dollar amounts just to see where we are. And it just might, if it comes in at 26,000, 26 million, we're going to be like, oh well, this is going to be down the pike. But it might come in at 10. Nobody knows what this is going to come in. Only the architects and the people putting the dollars together. So I truly feel we have an obligation to move forward to see what the cost of this project will be. We need to know it so we can work it together if it's feasible or not to go forward with it.
Mayor, I believe when
Councilor Mankey has to be recognized first.
you called the question, you're supposed to take the vote.
Councilor Mankey.
I think that the prudent thing is to table it. If we bring it up for a motion and it's defeated, then it goes no place. If we table it for a few months and then bring it back up again and it passes at that point, then what's lost?
We have no motion on the floor at this point.
I believe Councilor Collette called the question unless she removes her motion.
She called a question, but we had no question on the floor. Councilor Budrako.
If the building committee is passed and they come up with an architectural, space needs, facility needs, whatever, and we don't go forward with a referendum, or we don't go forward with a grant, would those plans though still be like shelf ready? So like, will they be for like the next year or the year after? I mean, will it be wasted work if you just do the architectural needs at this point?
No, it would depend on if you actually follow through with the concept or not. Whoever gets hired as the architect to do a design concept for you would figure out what he would want to do. Let's say part of this architect number one's plan is to demolish the gymnasium and build it on another part of the site because it can create a lot of benefits for ADA purposes. If you dust off that set of plans a year or two later, and that same concept is the direction the community wants to go in, it won't be a waste of money at all. If the concept changes substantially, it says, no, instead of knocking down the gymnasium, we want to knock down the media center and the music room and put everything up on the hill, and we can figure out a way to do it, then all that money would be abandoned. So it really ends up what ends up
So
happening.
the concept and the needs would be a constant, and the price may change from year to, if you wait a year, delay a year, or whatever, but.
Well, and it's the architectural concept that's actually delivered by the architect. Our statement says, the educational specification is just a bulleted list of certain expectations that we need to have a preschool, we need to have a functional gymnasium, we need to meet code. All those are the type of things that are in the specifications. It doesn't go into any sort of detailing about how it will be done, how it will appear on the site, sizes. None of those things are part of it. That's the architect's work.
Councilor Marikini and Councilor Anist.
In the interest of feeling more comfortable on where we're going to stand with the town hall and the community center over the next couple of months, I'd like to make a motion to table this till further notice.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Nagel. Any discussion? Councilor Annis, then Councilor Klett.
Can I have clarification how long you feel you want to table this for?
Till I know where we stand with a budget for the project, community center project.
Councilor Klett.
Yeah, before the motion to table, there was a motion to call the question. You cannot just ignore the motion to call the question.
There was no question to be
But
called.
to read the resolution.
That wasn't read into the record at the time. Any further discussion? Councilor Delbina, did you?
Well, I did, I'm looking right now at Robert's rules to look at the call for the question, because that was something that came up in a past meeting, and we were kind of called out on it. And it does say that it is only used when there is a motion on the table, which there was not a motion, to my recollection. If I'm wrong, correct me. It's always someone's right to read a motion in, but I didn't hear that, so we do have a motion now. So I do think we're, in terms of following procedure, I'm comfortable with it. I understand your concern, but I just wanted to say, because I'm not ignoring what you said, I'm looking at it to try and make the best decision I can, and I think we're okay with that.
Yes.
And I am in favor of tabling. I think it's unfortunate that if there are people that are uncomfortable with it and we're trying to avoid a no vote, I really don't want it to go as a no. And if that were the case, that so be it. But we're trying to avoid that and just get some more information and be more comfortable as a whole body. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Are we tabling is the motion to table all three, or one at a time?
To table the whole topic.
Good question.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Roll call?
Yes, it will be a roll call vote. Then if you would, we are voting on the motion to table the matter of the Reynolds School renovation.
Councilor Annis?
No.
Councilor Budrenko?
Yes.
Councilor Delbuno?
Yes.
Councilor Klett?
No.
Councilor Menke?
Yes.
Councilor Marikini?
Yes.
Councilor Nagel?
Yes.
Councilor Stara?
No.
Mayor Zartarian?
Yes. I am getting a 6-3, so the motion carries, the matter's tabled.